Hello everyone, back again with movie and tune recap. Today, I'm going to explain an American horror film from 2018, titled Gags the Clown. Spoilers ahead, so watch out and take care. The movie begins with John, his girlfriend Ashley, and their friend Corey returning to their car after a show, where they discover the car filled with black balloons. While John and Ashley argue about who might have left the car unlocked, Corey notices Gags the clown standing ominously nearby. John decides to confront the clown, but Ashley and Corey think it's a bad idea, and the group drives off instead. As they approach the parking garage exit, one of the balloons pops, releasing a white powder that causes John to start coughing up blood. They get stuck at the exit due to a car blocking their path and are suddenly startled by bloody handprints appearing on their windows. Panicked, Ashley and John run out of the car, but Corey trips and encounters Gags, and his fate is grim as the clown kills him off-screen. We learn that Gags the clown has been appearing randomly in downtown Green Bay, unnerving residents for the past 8 days. Videos and photos of Gags have gone viral on social media, causing fear to spread among the locals. WGRB field reporter Heather Dupree reports live from the street where Gags first appeared, accompanied by her cameraman, Dale Russell. In the background, people are seen excited to meet the clown. Opinions about Gags are mixed. Some think he's just someone in a costume trying to have fun, while others are disturbed by his presence. Meanwhile, a right-wing podcaster, Charles Wright, fueled by his audience's reactions, sets out to hunt Gags with his cameraman, Wayne Barlament. Promising his followers that he'll take justice into his own hands, he vows to track down the clown if his video reaches a certain number of shares. Next, we meet a group of teenagers, Tyler, his girlfriend Sarah, and their friend Chris, who dressed like Gags, and they head to a party with the intention to prank their friends. While the group enjoys themselves at the party, a loud thump interrupts the fun, and the party host, Liz, spots Gags standing outside. Nervously, she tells the others, but one teenager dismisses her claim, saying it's just someone in a clown costume, but Liz remains unconvinced. Suddenly, Liz, who is terrified of clowns, is startled by Chris, who jumps out wearing his clown costume. Meanwhile, police officers Chrissy and Jake investigate a murder scene at the Pine Street parking garage in Green Bay, and it's revealed that Corey was brutally killed by Gags, with his face horrifically cut off. While on patrol, the officers receive a dispatcher call about an underage drinking party where clowns have reportedly been seen. Shortly, the officers arrive at the party house just as Sarah and her friends flee. However, Officer Jake managed to capture Sarah, but Chrissy, who is revealed to be her stepmother, takes charge. She sternly orders Sarah to go home, while Jake heads inside to shut the party down. However, instead of following orders, Sarah sneaks off and regroups with Tyler and Chris. The group decides to continue their night of mischief, and Sarah agrees to help Tyler record Chris scaring more people in his clown costume. After successfully pulling off several pranks, the group decides to head to a local fair. Elsewhere, Officer Meredith comes across a stalled car in the middle of the road while on patrol. Inside, he finds a man dressed as a clown and covered in white powder, sitting motionless in the driver's seat, and Meredith tries to get the man's attention, but he remains unresponsive. As the officer returns to his patrol car, the entranced clown exits the vehicle and begins approaching him. Meanwhile, Officer Deegan is assigned to investigate a break-in at a local movie theater. The building is completely dark, with no lighting to guide her. As she explores the eerie space, a clown video suddenly begins playing on the projector screen, and before Deegan can react, she spots Gags lurking in the shadows, and the clown attacks her. Elsewhere, reporter Heather Dupree interviews Ralph Jungwirth, an antique store owner, who claims to recognize Gags from an old photograph. Ralph reveals that Gags has allegedly been haunting Green Bay since 1974, when a mysterious fire destroyed his circus. Heather dismisses Ralph's story as nonsense, calling him a crackpot, and angered by her disbelief, Ralph orders her to leave his store. On her way out, Heather runs into her rival reporter, Rebecca Chambers, from WBSC, which adds to her frustration. Meanwhile, Charles Wright, the right-wing podcaster, finally achieves the required shares on his video and decides to fulfill his promise to his fans. Armed with various guns, he sets out to hunt Gags, determined to rid Green Bay of the unsettling clown. At the same time, Officer Jacobs responds to a distress call from a woman whose daughter, Erin, has been acting strangely after returning home covered in white powder. Jacobs tries to coax Erin out of her room, but she refuses to respond, and suddenly, Erin confronts her mother and Jacobs after mutilating her face and neck while seemingly entranced. Station manager Ron angrily calls reporter Heather Dupree and removes her from the Gags story after her rival, Rebecca Chambers, scoops her by securing an exclusive interview with Charles Wright about his vigilante plans. Despite this, Heather refuses to back down and tells Dale that they will stay on the story by shifting their focus to Charles instead, and she persuades Dale to come with her. During Rebecca's interview, Charles declares that Gags is a terrorist and brags about his ability to take him down, claiming his military training gives him an edge. He warns Gags directly, saying "I'm coming for you" before the interview ends. Meanwhile, officers Chrissy and Jake investigate a break-in at a banquet hall, and inside, they hear a loud bang from another room. Upon checking, they discover John acting strangely and is wearing clown makeup, and when John begins approaching them aggressively, Jake fires his weapon. However, John is unaffected by the gunfire and escapes. Chrissy chases him but loses sight of him, only for the audience to notice Gags ominously appear nearby. Receiving calls from the HQ, Chrissy learns there have been multiple disappearances across town. Many of the victims reportedly exhibited symptoms of disorientation and self-mutilation before vanishing. At the carnival, Sarah spots Gags standing nearby and believes it to be Chris in costume. However, Chris suddenly appears next to Sarah and Tyler, revealing it wasn't him. While exploring the carnival, Chris finds one of Gags' black balloons, and curious, he decides to touch it. However, the balloon pops, which release a white powder that covers Chris. Charles begins his hunt for Gags, eventually tracking him down at the East Side Industrial Park, and Wayne live streams the confrontation. Charles intimidates the clown and prepares to shoot, but as he is about to pull the trigger, he hears eerie carnival music, causing him to hesitate, and in that moment, Gags disappears. Frustrated and embarrassed, Charles and Wayne search for Gags but come up empty, and during their live stream, viewers mock Charles for not taking the shot. Wayne echoes the audience's criticism, calling Charles a coward and accusing him of letting everyone down, and the heated argument escalates, with Charles insisting he will make things right. Following the trail of Gags' black balloons, they arrive at the abandoned Larson Green Mill, where Charles resolves to end the hunt once and for all. As he ventures inside, Heather and Dale show up at the mill and decide to follow him to capture the story. Meanwhile, Chris begins suffering severe effects from the white powder, vomiting black blood as his condition rapidly worsens. Sarah insists they take him to the hospital, but Tyler stubbornly demands they go to the mill to confront Charles and Gags instead. As the argument heats up, Chris sides with Tyler, dismissing Sarah's concerns, and frustrated, Sarah decides to leave, but as she walks away, Tyler insults her, causing her to break into tears. Inside the abandoned mill, Tyler and Chris get separated as they explore the dark building, and while wandering alone, Tyler becomes frightened after encountering an entranced man in clown makeup. Elsewhere in the mill, a clown approached Charles and Wayne, screaming for help, and mistaking the figure for Gags, Charles fires his gun, killing the clown. Overwhelmed with guilt, Charles shamefully admits to Wayne that despite claiming to be a killer in the Marines, he was actually just a mechanic and had never killed anyone before. Suddenly, he starts blaming Wayne for convincing him to carry out this vigilante quest. As officers Chrissy and Jake arrive on the scene in response to reports of suspicious activity, Charles and Wayne flee from the scene. The officers soon discover the clown's body, and when Chrissy removes the clown mask, she is shocked to find it's Tyler. Realizing Sarah hasn't returned home, Chrissy panics and decides to search for her while Jake continues to investigate the mill. Meanwhile, Heather and Dale follow eerie carnival music echoing through the building, and eventually, they stumble upon a circus tent set up in the basement. Inside, they discover all the entranced victims, including Chris and John, gathered around a stage, and the victims' faces are grotesquely altered with clown makeup. Attempting to call Sarah on her phone, Chrissy ventures deeper into the mill and enters a room filled with black balloons, and there, she briefly catches a glimpse of Gags before the clown vanishes. Still frantically searching for Sarah, Chrissy accidentally falls into an unseen hole in the mill and dies on impact. Meanwhile, Officer Jake chases Charles and Wayne into the circus tent, where they come face to face with the entranced victims surrounding the stage. As tensions rise, Charles tries to pin Tyler's murder on Wayne, belittling and demeaning him in the process, and pushed to his breaking point, Wayne pulls his gun and shoots Charles. In the chaos, Jake quickly reacts by shooting Wayne in turn, and terrified by the escalating violence, Dale drops his camera and flees the tent. However, Heather picks up the camera and continues recording, and suddenly, Gags emerges onto the stage, commanding everyone's attention. Now in a state of panic, Jake threatens the victims with his gun, but as he does, a popped balloon releases white powder onto him. Stumbling backward, Jake loses control and crashes into the tent, bringing it down in a chaotic collapse. Terrified, Heather rushes out of the building screaming, but halts when Gags unexpectedly appears in front of her. Without a word, Gags hands her a balloon eerily designed to resemble her face and vanish. Initially bewildered, Heather begins laughing hysterically at the absurdity of the situation, but her laughter is cut short when the balloon suddenly explodes, which kills her instantly. Rebecca, who witnesses Heather's demise, begins to smile as she begins broadcasting live, and the movie concludes. Okay guys, that's all the recap about Gags the Clown from 2018. Thanks for watching, see you again in the next video.